Hello and welcome to the debut episode of The Mindalorian, a Star Wars Minute podcast. It's the weekly show in which we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate Disney Plus's new The Mandalorian program, one episode at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from comicbookalex.com.
I'm Pete the Retailer from StarWarsMinute.com.
Maybe we should say that instead.
Jump over there. Yeah, normally we're the people who do Star Wars Minute, which, if you haven't heard it, it's we do one episode for every minute of every Star Wars movie. And we're...
the episodes are like 20 minutes long,
right?
But we discuss 1 minute of the show. Some people seem to think the show is only a minute long.
No.
20 minutes at least about a single minute of Star Wars.
Right. So in essence, it's like a 40-hour commentary track for each movie.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here doing. We're not breaking down the Mandalorian minute by minute. We're just doing it episode by episode because that's it. We're doing a reaction show. What are they called? Is that what they're called?
Sure, that sounds good.
Or a recap show, or
let's call ours an overreaction show.
Reaction, like eggs.
Eggs.
Okay. Should I make some eggs? I didn't know I was supposed to make eggs.
We had scrambled eggs yesterday.
Oh.
But anyway, we're talking about the first episode. Well, first of all, I just want to talk about the whole concept of this thing and how cool it is that there is a Star Wars TV show after all these years.
Yeah, there are many false starts with this kind of a thing. It seemed always like, oh, what if there was a Star Wars TV show? And I think it took... I mean, if it wasn't for Disney's streaming service, I think, we would have had something down the road anyway, if it was a Netflix show or something like the peak TV scene that we're in. Yeah. Definitely it would be surprising if it hadn't happened by now, but luckily there's Disney Plus, which is an embarrassment of riches in its own sense, even without The Mandalorian.
Anyway, I'll save that for another show. But and I also think it's kind of funny that after all of the ups and downs in the career of Boba Fett, we're basically all getting exactly what we wanted out of Boba Fett, but without it actually being Boba Fett. This is basically what we wanted to see: is a bounty hunter doing cool stuff, and now it is more or less might as well be Boba Fett. You know what I mean in terms of the audience.
We don't know what we don't know what maybe it will somehow tie into that.
Oh, I hope not.
There's some things we'll get to there. There's clues or whatever, not clues, but there's other little blips.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so basically, instead of minute by minute, we are going to go just episode by episode. We're just going to kind of step through the episode. The first episode being The Mandalorian Chapter 1. What a creative title.
Is that what it's just called, Chapter 1?
Yeah, it's called The Mandalorian Chapter 1. As far as I can tell right now, as of this recording, which is mere hours after the premiere.
Well, the first thing I noticed while watching it is they had that cool new Star Wars brand logo at the beginning. I'm sure you noticed that. Where it's almost like they're trying to do like a Marvel kind of like a logo that incorporates all of their Star Wars properties.
Right, and they had one, and it was called the Lucasfilm Limited logo, but I guess it's not like.
Well, this is specifically Star Wars.
Yeah, I guess. It's I don't hate it, but it's weird. It's I have to balance my curmudgeon it's different with my analytical mind and just being like, I guess that's kind of cool. It seems very of the now though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think 20 years from now it'll be like, oh, what did it have, like techno music and not techno music. That's even 20 years ago. What did it have? EDM? That's what they call it now. Same thing, a different name.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Was it on a streaming service? That's 20 years from now. It'll be.
I could frankly see you doing air quotes as you said that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, no, I did a little head wag. Oh. That's what we do 20 years from now. We stopped doing air quotes. We started doing head wag.
Yeah. Okay, boomer.
I remember that.
So it opens and we're on some. We don't know the name of this planet we're on, right?
Well,
so we're not doing it like an overview. We're just going to go through it like more or less in order, right?
We're going to stumble through it blindly. Yeah, more or less in order of our notes.
Okay.
And but over the Star Wars logo, though, we get a beeping, which then becomes kind of a sound bridge into the actual content, which is nice. I do like that part because it seems like it's a beeping. It's like for the logo. Yeah, I was marveling the other day at how much I like when the kind of studio logo becomes kind of specialized for the movie at hand.
Like the Indiana Jones. I guess they're probably most famously.
Well, that too. Well, that's a different thing that I do like. That kind of graphic match from the Paramount Mountain into the content, but more. I was thinking about like when either the like the Warner Brothers logo or the what's another one that I've seen it done with recently. Maybe the Fox logo, where it's like the actual vanity fanfare thing from the beginning that you're used to seeing a million times. The studio logo is altered somewhat. It's not like it plays the regular one, like the Indiana Jones one. It's like Paramount, and goes into fades into the thing. Mm-hmm. Talking about like it's the music's in a minor key for the 20th Century Fox, or it's like it's black and white because it's there's lightning or something. Well, they made it spooky because it's a. I guess I was watching some kind of spooky movie and they did that. It had an effect on me, but yeah. So I like that it's with its own thing, but then it also has the sound bridge kind of into the content.
Do the Lego movies do that? The Lego movies seem like they would do that, like have the logo have a Lego logo.
Yes, I believe they do.
Cool.
Who those aren't on this, right? Where are they? Who owns those? Whose baby is that?
I don't know. They do have all this like Droid Tales and the Star Wars Lego stuff I saw there. So
I know.
I'm looking forward to watching those.
This is probably more content for our weekend edition show or something like that. But trying to sort through Disney Plus movies alphabetically by title led me on quite an adventure. So we'll pin that.
We'll compare that on our Saturday or Sunday show. So back to the Mandalorian.
Exactly.
So we're on this planet. Do they never say what the planet is, do they? There's no title card or anything.
No. I'm happy that there's no title card because I've been kind of on the we've kind of started doing some research for our next season with Rogue One, and Rogue One has these title cards that I think are somewhat superfluous. I get the different style. I'm not saying like that doesn't ruin anything, but
well, I feel like in Rogue One they had to do it because they were jumping between so many different planets that I can understand it getting.
They don't. You can figure it out. They look different and all that. You can figure it out. I'm saying you don't need it. Yeah. You specifically, Alex Robinson.
You know what? Let's continue this conversation when we're discussing Rogue One.
There you go. But you
see the titular Mandalorian show up.
Yes, and then a guy walks into a bar.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to start any kind of new media franchise or whatever. And we've seen this bit. Luckily it was a good. I wonder how early in the structure, like how early on they were like, all right, throw in a little kind of cold open style
badassery.
Because then we can also share that. That was on, most of that clip was on Monday Night Football last night.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it was like, here's a thing we can share because it doesn't really affect the plot very much. I mean, it does. It leads to the plot shortly, but it's not like this is a key battle from the episode or something like that.
No, but it does establish to the audience very early on that this guy is a tough guy.
Yeah,
you see him taking on
good job of doing that.
Great job.
Awesome.
So these bunch of bullies are harassing this blue fish man, and they're like, look at his glands. We could get so much for them. It was just funny that they were going to butcher this guy for his glands.
I have to say the aliens are a little bit Star Trek-y for me.
Yeah,
and
I think I agree with that.
It's not, not enough that it kind of ruins it for me. But I'm like, it's a little bit, we've seen worse. Again, in the Phantom Menace, I feel like a lot of the extras they just kind of bought Don Post masks and threw them on the locals.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those in sunlight didn't look that great. They did a great job on them, but they do look a little Star Trek-y.
Yeah, I don't know. In a way, it kind of reminds me of the original Cantina, which has a lot more like humans and people just wearing weird clothes than you think of.
Right.
Everyone remembers Walrus Man and Hammerhead and all the A-listers, but there's also just a lot of guys wearing like raggedy clothes and a lady with a ball on her forehead.
But they're not supposed to I don't know. I feel like there was less of an attempt to make them look weird. Sci-fi in that than there is with this. This is feel like they're going for something where they're, again, it's hard to.
Right.
Star Wars was the initiator of all this, so it's hard to do it, hard to live up to something that kind of set the tone for the whole thing. But this alien is a mythrol.
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 The guy with the glands.
Yeah. The man with the glands.
The man with the glands. A man.
No. This is unidentified mythrol.
So they never even identified him, even though he has like a speaking.
No, I feel like he did say his name at some point, but I don't think so. Maybe he just said mythrol.
When I was watching this with former guest of the show, Ryan, and he said, the two bullies should have been Walrus Man and Dr. Everzan.
Oh, no.
I think I would have and also if you notice, one of the bullies already has robot arms. That would have been perfect for Walrus Man to have robot arms. So I want them to be they should be a cameo in every Star Wars project from henceforth out.
No. This is right. So timeline wise, it could be because this is 5 years after Jedi, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the time frame that we're playing in.
Something like that, yeah. That's what I hear.
All right. But the it's interesting to kind of shift into a new. I guess the first time we do any era. And but by era I mean production-wise era. Mm-hmm. The prequels, it took a little while to get comfortable in that because it's snide comments aside, it took a while to get comfortable in that era because all of a sudden, all right, there's new things.
Mm-hmm.
We're redefining what Star Wars is to you, and with the Disney era, it kind of redefined it again. And now here's a new wrinkle of the Disney era, so it's like another kind of slight. Okay, we're adding more things that Star Wars is.
Mm-hmm.
And so these, this look and feel, this TV, again, it's not that it's lower budget, it could have probably made a movie easily for what they spent on making this season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, it's adding a whole nother kind of look and feel era that you have to kind of adapt to.
It's true.
I know that I don't know. Maybe that's my initial. If I went back and watched it again, right, which I plan on shortly, it would kind of I'd get more used to it each time, and it would be fine.
Well, I think that happens. I mean, also because you and I are professional Star Wars fans, I always find the first time I watch a new Star Wars thing, I almost can't take parts of it in because while I'm watching and I'm processing it, how does this affect the larger Star Wars universe? That kind of it. You see a ship and you're like, oh, that looks kind of like that kind of ship that I saw in that other movie, and then as opposed to just kind of being in the moment. So definitely the second time, I hope to get more, see more background details and
Seymour in the background.
Seymour. Mm-hmm. Suddenly,
Seymour 3PO. That's the thing though. I feel like because this. Maybe that's why I also kind of I've been appreciating the anthology films more lately. Is because it's outside of, it doesn't have the weight of the the Skywalker saga. It doesn't have the importance of being all right, this has to fit perfectly in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a little little side wing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it that's again for years I feel like this is exactly what we've been saying. Should happen.
Yeah,
I want a little space adventure Star Wars that doesn't really talk. We don't see as again, one episode in, so I'm not guaranteeing anything long term. But how it doesn't really affect the main timeline. It's set in Star Wars, but it's not. We don't have Luke Skywalker or anything in it, which is great.
Well, you must, and also no lightsabers so far, which is good.
Yeah, well, I was going to get there, I guess. There's no lightsabers, not even kind of a mention of Jedi. So it's been as hey, this is my thing. I'm not anti-Jedi. I love, that we have them. Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably, as we've said, my favorite character. He's up there. But
your favorite of like the main characters.
Right. Felta Brand is my favorite character, but no, but the kind of I feel like we've done Jedi to death, and the more that it gets kind of becomes kind of fantasy rule book stuff, it becomes kind of very codified into a society thing, and not it becomes less mystical and more of I don't know, becomes less special the more it goes on, and we've done we've had entire trilogies about there's all the Jedi, look at them, and then I don't know, it's refreshing to have tell a different story every once in a while.
Yeah,
and again, going back to the anthology movies, I thought easily I could get through each of those without a lightsaber showing up, but lo and behold.
So the Mandalorian fights the bullies in the bar, including the scene that was included in a lot of where he ropes the Quarren, the squid head guy.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, I'm happy to see the squid heads participating and doing more than just standing around like they do in Jabba's palace, kind of actually interacting and.
There's good use of squid heads and Niktos.
Mm-hmm. Nick
Toes, you know him.
Yeah, so there's a scene where he lassos him and cuts him in half with the door. What'd you think about that?
I liked that a lot, and it's good. It something they teased a lot on the kind of preview materials, but they didn't really show. They kind of cut it a little bit early, and they don't get too graphic and gory with this. They just kind of show him getting caught in there, and then you see kind of out of focus between him and the camera. I believe you see a little bit of a clunk.
His legs, yeah. It's funny to me that the doors would even do that. It seems very dangerous that doors would keep closed. There's no like safety sensors in there where if it's closing and it detects something there, it'll stop. It just keeps going and cutting people in half. So
right.
I like that the Star Wars universe continues to be a dangerous place, even in routine things like not having railings and doors that can. I guess the Death Star's doors were probably easily could have crushed people too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just slam down, and we saw that one trooper banged his head on it.
Mm-hmm. Mental health will drive him mad. So that he secures his, where there's a little bit of a twist or reversal where you think he's, I mean, you're meant to think, that he's showing up to save that guy. And then it turns out that's the guy that he's hunting. So he, it's the guy that he's there for.
And we see maybe I'm assuming it's the debut of Bounty Pucks.
Yeah.
As a hockey fan, you must have liked that.
Yeah, it does make me think. Well, what does puck mean to them then?
Mm-hmm.
But when you Google Bounty Puck, you get paper towels. So, but but there's other there's stuff from a while ago. It looks like.
Was it something? That
so
was
maybe
like
this was an established
thing.
I don't know.
Could be.
But I like it. I like the idea. It does kind of not. We can go crazy trying to say does this fit in with the technology that we have established? But it works for the storyline, so who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, I care. I like it. It's fine.
I care. So anything else with the bar, or should we move on to the next scene?
No, then he goes out and hails a cab.
Yeah, I was very proud of myself that I was, as I'm watching the episode, I'm writing down notes and stuff, and so I was looking down at my paper, and all of a sudden I heard, and I was like, is that a Garinden? And then because I was so pleased with myself that I recognized Garinden's distinctive fly-like voice, and also I'm glad that they didn't I assumed at first that they were just going to be reusing that voice in a different alien, but the fact that they actually used it on another Garinden.
Right.
And John Wayne's voice lives on. Isn't that John Wayne's voice sped up or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a tape of John Wayne just kind of like haphazardly run through a reel-to-reel, apparently.
But I really like that Garinden using that flute to call cabs. It seemed like a very... it was both familiar because we've all been at taxi stands, but it was weird. It was Star Wars-y enough where it was interesting. So
yeah,
I like that. I like that bit.
The flute, it struck me for a minute. I was like, do I like this? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the flute.
I like it.
Because it seems a little bit.
It's like a whistle.
Yeah, but it's a little bit. But it didn't seem like it wasn't. I don't know. What I thought of was Willy Wonka, and I guess I don't know. I jury's still out on how I feel about that.
All right.
But
you're not even happy about Garinden showing up.
I'm happy about Garinden. Garinden in a kind of warm weather gear is very cool.
So it's more just the flute part of it that you're on the fence about.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I was trying to get back to the. I was trying to reach Lando Calrissian. No wait, I was trying to look up. Oh, here we go. Here's the Wikipedia page on flute. There are, they haven't updated it, I guess. There's three canonical mentions, three canonical appearances, apparently, of flutes. Flute is mentioned in the book Thrawn and Treason.
Thrawn was a famous flautist.
Flute was mentioned in The Legends of Luke Skywalker, which, I don't know, what is that? Is that a junior novel? I wonder what they talk about flutes in The Legends of Luke Skywalker.
He played flute at Mos Espa High. He was in the marching band. That's why they call him Wormy.
And there's a young adult novel written for Galaxy's Edge, part of the Galaxy's Edge tie-in, called A Crash of Fate, and a flute is actually in there.
They don't mention Picard playing that flute from that weird satellite that...
Well, not yet. That hasn't merged yet.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised there was no flute in... I would have thought there was a flute in the Lin-Manuel band from Force Awakens. None of those guys are playing a flute?
Those are other instruments of some sort, I think. They get...
Clearly, wind instruments are popular. Everyone's blowing into instruments all over the place right now.
Not everything you blow into is a flute.
That's true.
It's an old saying that we have in my homeworld.
You live on the musician planet where everyone's musicians.
Yeah, there's links to all kinds of other musical instruments. Wind musical instruments. There's the clue horn, of course, a blistle, a band fill, and the clue horn and a band fill are both used in playing jizz often. And then there's like 8 million other kinds. There's bagpipes. Who said bagpipes? Oh, it's in Tiny Death Star, the game?
Wow.
Anyway.
He has a cab.
We get the Kubaz, who's not wearing a Zubaz. Chris Bartlett. Chris Bartlett is the sitting, standing and walking C-3PO these days.
Wait, so who did he play?
The body of the current body of C-3PO is Chris Bartlett, who played this unidentified Kubaz, the Grindan in question.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Grindan is he's a man, not a species.
Yeah, he's a Kubaz, and his name is Grindan.
Got it. Kubaz.
Now that I look at the picture again, I think I like it. The flute.
That's good.
Yeah, we'll see. I have to go listen to it again. But yeah, so he hails a cab. No drugs.
And it's driven by not our old friend, but the comedian Brian Posehn is driving that taxi cab.
Yes,
It must have been very exciting for him being such a famous nerd and all.
Yeah, you get to be a space cab driver. See, that's like
pretty good.
It's tricky because it's, if you have a legitimate career like he does, do you take the first one that comes along like that? You know what I mean? Like it's a good role in that one episode and it's kind of memorable, but then like that's it. You can't be anything else in Star Wars probably. Unless you're
wearing like a costume.
Oh, right. Yeah,
like
you could come back as
something.
An alien or a trooper of some sort.
I have to imagine that he was just like, hey, I'll do anything. You know what I mean? I can't imagine Brian Posehn would be like, I'm going to hold out for a bigger part in a Star Wars film, just because how many chances is he going to get?
Yeah. Well, but he more than others. So,
yeah.
I don't know. That got me thinking. But we'll have to, of course, he's on the Nerd Poker with a frequent friend of Star Wars Minute. Frequent friend. Former guest of Star Wars Minute, Dan Telfer. So we'll have to put a word in. See if Dan knew about this in advance.
Yeah. And then he dies. Gets killed by... how did you feel about the giant monster that comes out of the ice?
Yeah,
you're generally anti-monster in Star Wars.
I'm pro monster. I'm anti tentacle monster usually, and this is kind of that. But it works here.
It's more like a giant walrus than anything.
Yeah, and
it's like a giant walrus, man.
And the way that they do it, it works. They don't. It doesn't have like a. It doesn't try to eat the camera. It doesn't.
It's very short.
It's a short little
quick
scene. They don't have a whole thing where it doesn't burp. All this other stuff. So
yeah,
it's a very subdued tentacle monster. He's a very subdued tentacle monster.
I do like that this is the first time we see, I keep wanting to call him Boba Fett.
Well,
when we see Django pull out his double-pronged weapon that, of course, debuted in the Star Wars Holiday Special. That you saw him with that cool weapon. So, nice big detail there.
Yeah, and he uses it to subdue a monster, which is what he uses it, in the Holiday Special.
Yeah,
it's his monster fork.
Although I think you see him use it later on. So he should only use it for monsters. I agree.
Yeah, right.
Moral monsters.
Or picking up French fries from Nathan's. Either one.
Little kebab.
But the Holiday Special kind of vibe, it's I'm happy that Jon Favreau seems to have a similar level of appreciation for Star Wars and the same things. That at least I do, or we do, because he's he has said like he wants to do a new holiday special, and there's a couple of tried to work in a specific holiday special references here.
What holiday special reference would most please you?
I think we're at an acceptable level here. I think it's fine. We know, like occasional, just kind of, acknowledging that it exists. I guess the most, it's kind of out of, it's an extra textual thing, but I would like, the more they acknowledge it exists, the closer we are to getting it, released in some official format.
I'm going to say I want to see, what's his name? Krellman? the Harvey Korman alien with who he pours liquid in his head.
Yeah.
That's who I want to see. And I could conceivably see him being in the background of a shot.
Yeah.
Not Harvey Korman, obviously, unless they want to go the CGI route. That would be an interesting.
Nah. Well, who's the Harvey Korman of today? I feel like we've talked about this before.
I don't know. Maybe like Will Ferrell.
You know who? Well, if they were going to do a new holiday special and wanted somebody to play multiple roles like that, I think you need a I guess somebody from like Bill Hader would totally do it.
Oh yeah, Bill Hader.
But he's got a serious career going on right now too.
Yeah, although I'm sure again, I think he would.
Right.
I'm sure he would gladly take a shot at it. He already does the voice of BB-8 though. People would be confused.
That's right. They'd be like, "Why is BB-8 pouring drinks in his head?" But yeah, so then they get them on board the ship. They escape.
Mm-hmm. Now we have not seen this ship design before, right?
I haven't.
I thought I didn't either, but then the guy made a point of saying, "Oh, it's an old ship design," which made me think it was in the prequels or something because it looks so familiar to me.
Well, it does. It's like something out of a dream. They do kind of. They mentioned that it looks like a
like a lat.
Let's see. It's a gunship used by the Mandalorian. It was once a military craft used to patrol local territories prior to the Galactic Empire. The Mandalorian utilized the vessel as its transport and living quarters while hunting fugitives in the Outer Rim. It was designed by Doug Chang. It was created as a practical model rather than a computer-generated effect. That's interesting. But yeah, it doesn't seem to have it. Well, the Razor Crest specifically, that ship, but it is kind of. It looks like a derivative of a. Looks like it is a gunship of sorts, and the lat. It is kind of reminiscent of the lat, but not. It is not something we've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically.
Yeah, so then they fly. They're flying back to whatever planet they're going to, and he's making small talk with the Gill man. And, I'm a little surprised he just lets him sit up there in the cockpit with him, especially with his back behind him. With his back to the guy.
He knows. I mean, at one point the guy does open up the weapons chamber.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he didn't pull something out and use it, but I'm sure he's got all kinds of safeguards and all other stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised that the quarry was like, oh, I'm going to try to deceive him, and but clearly the Boba Fett knew what was going on and immediately shut him down. Yeah,
just like the squid head, he's the Boba Fett.
Yeah. I like that there's some controversy about the carbon freeze part of things.
Okay, well, before that, I think right before that.
Okay.
He mentioned he's got to go use the back tube.
Oh yeah, that was funny too.
Which is a good, and then you see it, and it's got kind of it looks like it's something that could be made for all kinds of different alien creatures, and it's.
Is this the first toilet we've seen?
I think it's
that we recognize that we recognize as a toilet. I mean, for all we know, we might have seen all sorts of stuff that we didn't realize were toilets.
Right. I think when Obi-Wan snuck into the refresher, that was as close as we got. But that's we didn't see anything in there.
And we saw Han and Chewie take a shower together, but
right,
not a toilet.
No.
Doesn't he also mention Life Day too in this scene?
Yeah, well, that's where we're getting. That's the so here's our essentially second holiday special reference of the day.
Mm-hmm.
He says he wanted to try to get home for Life Day or something like that.
See, I don't like that.
Why?
Because I know, but I assume that Life Day was a Wookiee holiday, not a Fishman holiday.
Yeah, but still, it could be. Well, I'm assuming it's gone beyond that. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe he converted. He married a Wookiee, so he converted to Life Dayism. But again, I was happy for the reference. I was excited about it. But on a nitpicky level, I don't like that a non-Wookiee is celebrating it. Yeah, it's cultural appropriation, is what it is. But like you said, maybe other species do. Maybe the Wookiees learned it from his species, like from missionaries. Life Day missionaries went to Kashyyyk and taught the Wookiees about it. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's now that I'm thinking about it, I do like I
ruined
giggled
it for
so
you.
much at having seen it, and I'm like, I guess it is very Wookiee specific, but or maybe just we saw how the Wookiees celebrate it.
Yeah,
The other.
I'm sure it's like Christmas.
It's
It's
the
all
same
sorts of different
holiday,
ways.
but yeah, exactly. There's all different holiday traditions for every holiday around the world. So why not around the galaxy?
I guess that's the thing. One person's fan service is another person's.
That's true.
And another reference
digging
you were
this one,
happy
though.
to see include. So it's a matter of taste. Life Day, carbon freeze. Now can we talk about carbon freeze?
Please, sounds delicious.
I like it. I think it's and I like seeing all the different reactions of the people who are in. Like you could see what their expressions were like when they were getting sprayed by the. I guess it's a spray. We don't know quite how they're. How they are entombed, but some people seem to not like this. They seem to think that was it's too like why would suddenly everyone be carbon freezing?
Because
I like
because it's a business, and once they did it once, they figured it out. Especially Mandalorian, assuming that Boba Fett is a Mandalorian and relates back to this community somehow.
I from what I understand, nerds are telling me that they are Jango and Boba Fett are not Mandalorians.
Right, they're just people who wear armor.
They wear the armor. Yeah,
they're stolen valor.
Yes, exactly. More cultural appropriation.
But it makes sense to me that once a bounty hunter did it once, then they would all pick up on it, and they would kind of adapt that.
Han Solo was hanging up on Jabba's wall for like what, a year, 6 months or something.
Yeah.
So every bounty hunter who goes through there is going to be like, "Oh my gosh, that's a great idea! Why didn't I think of that?" So that had to have spread it around like wildfire.
Exactly. What I don't like, as we've discussed, I don't like that they used it in
Clone
stuff
Wars.
that happened earlier, in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
No.
Works fine.
Yeah. Carbon freeze. Although it is, I think also one of the things was like it took that giant whole carbon freezing chamber to freeze Han Solo, but Boba Fett has this little tiny little portable job. Like it's like the George Foreman grill of carbon freeze.
That was for freezing Beldon farts. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole different process. Kind of adapting it for, probably a lot of what was going on in Bespin was kind of, routing and pressurizing the gas to get it in there.
Right.
Whereas once they kind of, all right, well, let's make a version of this just to freeze people. What are the basics that we need here?
Yeah. So it's
they
great.
Strip it down.
So I'm gonna go on a limb and I'm gonna say it's Lobot who patented that portable technology. I'm gonna say he's the one who
It's his new business.
Yeah.
His new hustle.
Mm-hmm. Now they call him, I was going to say Frobot because he's frozen. But that makes it sound like he'd have an afro.
Right. No.
Frobot.
Yeah, so I dig it still. I like it. Although this leads into something that I, again, where's the line between a cool reference and kind of, fan service pandering? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of direct sound.
Let's call it fandering.
Fandering. I was right there. We're on the verge of greatness. The sounds often are just straight out of Star Wars. Like Garindan. That wasn't. It was the same Garindan.
Literally
sound.
the same.
And,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And some of the other stuff. Like the sound effects are just straight up the sounds from Star Wars. And so it's a weird kind of audio callback reference that seems it's distracting because it's like, oh, I know exactly what that is. I know exactly where that's from. And so that happens with again, it makes sense they're doing the same thing, but to use the exact same that kind of tonal whine thing that like when he does the carbon freezing thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where he sings Jungle Boy or what is it? Tarzan Boy.
I thought that was the flute you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, when Zubaz plays the flute, he plays Tarzan Boy by Baltimora. And then the Mandalorian's just got to sit there and listen to him play the whole song. Like, what'd you think? But it's like, That was the version that I watched. I don't know what you were doing. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like the sound is pandering sometimes, but it's okay. Again, I can deal with it. Without being too curmudgeonly, I should be happy.
Yeah.
Again, look at what I have and what I'm complaining about. Look at what there is. There's like all the Star Wars is at my fingertips, including a new TV show that they just made, which is exactly what we said they should make for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am. I'm like, well, that sound, was exactly the same sound. They couldn't have made something new.
Well, it is implied in our mandate to be nitpicky.
I guess, yeah.
So I wouldn't.
Anyway, they go to a secondary location.
Mm-hmm.
They
is this where he sees the well, first he's dropping off the thing with Carl Weathers, right? Isn't that the next bit?
Right. Yeah, this is the secondary location.
Oh, okay.
That I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. We see a Rodian in the background. That must have pleased you.
Yeah, and the kind of the blonde Rodians, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
But also I believe I saw Constable Zuvio there.
No way.
Yeah, take a look. It doesn't,
Do you have a time mark on that?
No, I don't. It's streaming. What is time?
I thought maybe it would just tell you what time. What?
I guess I should have kind of noted that down, but.
Hey, no, that's right. I was just So you think it's Constable Zuvio?
Well, or it's somebody that looks like him.
Does he look younger than he does in?
You just kind of see him for a minute,
right? I don't like that the streaming thing does not give you a preview when you fast forward.
So you can't figure out where you?
Yeah, you can't say, oh, here's the scene with this. You kind of just have to go by time.
That's good.
Oh, no,
because it's telling you shouldn't be fast forwarding through this. Stop.
Well, it's tough when you're trying to rewind.
The way to watch movies. Stop rewinding. Stop being kind.
Say.
Well, what platform are you watching? What's your setup? Were you watching it on a computer?
Well,
I
was watching it at Ryan's house, and he was watching it on his Xbox or something. So maybe when I'm watching it on my desktop here while we're recording, you can see little previews, but on his thing you couldn't see it. So
yeah, I tried to watch it on the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to watch it on the PlayStation, and it said it was unavailable. Like it signed in and everything, and it was like, "Oh, you want to watch The Mindalorian?" I clicked yes, and it was like, "Sorry, I don't have that. You got to try again." And so then I went to my computer, and it worked fine. So we'll see. I got to check it out on other devices. Find the kind of most conducive to enjoyment. The setup. Yeah. So could be Zuvio. Could not be.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people wear those like hats like him.
Right, Zuvio hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes to see his associate,
colleague,
his colleague, who is named. I just had it and it went away. It's named something funny.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, but Carl Weathers' character is not.
Oh, maybe that is Constable Zuvio.
You see it now.
Yeah, weird.
See? Grief Karga. There you go.
Grief Karga.
Grief Karga. You wonder why I didn't remember it. Yeah, Grief, Greef, Karga. And he's the guy who has the kind of oh, you know what we didn't mention here? Sorry, backing up a second. The alien in question, the what did I just say his species was?
Grief specters?
No, not Grief. The alien from the blue guy.
Oh, okay. No, I don't remember you saying.
Mithril.
Unidentified Mithril.
Right. It's too much. It was this data all at once. But the Mithril in question was Horatio Sands.
I knew. You know what? I was watching. I was like, I know that's someone that has to be somebody like known.
Yeah, it's Horatio Sands. So sorry, we didn't. How did we skip that and miss that until now?
Good for him.
Yeah. star of Boat Trip. But yeah, so they get to this place where Grief Karga is hanging out, and that's who he does his business with.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a kind of a reversal of like Republic credits, because it's like
Imperial credits, yeah.
Imperial credits are now kind of, and he says they'll spend, but he doesn't want them, and so instead he gets calamari flan. Is that? Am I mistaken in thinking that he said flan? We should watch this with the subtitles on. That's what I should do.
Oh, that's a good idea. It did sound like flan.
Flan, right? Like the creamy dessert. Patron saint of creamy desserts.
Creamy desserts.
The
are you sorry, go ahead. Finish what you were going to say.
No, so this is a new currency that we're introduced to, I think, and it's interesting that calamari, being so tied with the rebellion, now their currency is one that is acceptable in a lot of places.
Well, it raises a lot of interesting questions world building wise.
Okay.
Because I assumed that the whole empire used Imperial credits. But the fact that the Mon Calamari still have their own money system in place is interesting to me.
Well, you're
unless they started a new money system after the collapse of the empire, but that seems too short to have built up a whole money system. And
you're a historian.
Mm-hmm.
You're an armchair historian.
Yes.
What was the?
I love the history of armchairs.
What was the kind of in the United States? Did the individual colonies, were they printing their own money for a while, or did it go straight from kind of British pound into new American currency, or is there a different? I think there was each state, each colony or then state was printing their own money.
Yeah, and then once the federal government came, they started printing.
Right.
So during the Alexander Hamilton, you can thank him for that too.
Exactly. So I'm assuming that's kind of like that the independent, they wouldn't want to use Imperial credit so much, because that's what they're trying to get away from.
So once the empire collapsed, Mon Calamari's like, I'm going to make my own. We're going to start doing our own money now. Are all the systems now making their own money, or did they just
they had been making money?
So during the empire, like they had their own. They had their own financial system under the empire.
Right. And then, Imperial credits are the kind of, they're good anywhere in a sense.
It's like the euro.
Yeah, a little bit. But if we hadn't eliminated the other, if the other kind of sub-currencies of the euro hadn't been eliminated.
Right. But like they still used pounds, so maybe that's what. But that seems unusually lenient for the empire to allow these individual systems to have their own money.
Well, but they were rebelling, so maybe that's one of the first things they did. Is like, all right, well, we're not gonna deal in the coin of the enemy. We're gonna bring back flan.
The man with the flan, the glands, and a rodian. So just like you said, from a historical world building perspective, since they're not really telling us a lot about what's going on, you kind of have to glean. You have to piece through these little tidbits that you get to see what the state of things are.
That's what I love. Don't spell it out for me. Let me just leave some puzzle pieces around.
Yeah. So, because this is the New Republic, I guess.
Drugs, God, and the New Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Has the Republic been established yet?
I don't know.
The New Republic, or is it like on its way?
We'd have to read one of those novels
if
we want to find the answer.
Forget it.
This is a time that hasn't really been filled in yet, so we really don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, there's some stuff that happens here a little bit, right? Well, we'll have to see. If anybody has a recommendation for a book about the establishment of the New Republic.
Or just tell us.
That's what I mean. Let us know.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think let us know what book we had to read.
Oh, well, that too. I was going to say, let us know which book, but you mean just tell us what happened.
Yeah, just tell. We need a New Republic historian to come on and.
There you go.
Where's our Doris Kearns Goodwin? I was trying to think of a Star Wars name to call her.
Yeah. Please, also somebody make Doris Kearns Gurinden. But speaking of possible. Is it? What about this one? Is it pandering? Is it fan service? When they walk outside after he conducts some business, he accepts a particularly dangerous yet high-paying bounty that was kind of off the books.
Mm-hmm.
And when he walks outside, he's in a marketplace of sorts, and we get to see a Kowakian monkey lizard on a spit.
Nice.
And another one kind of nervously eyeing the other.
I liked it.
Yeah?
Well, yeah, because I guess it was putting it into a different context. And also, I like that it was a kind of 1-2 punch, because the first thing you see is that rotating on a spit, and you're like, that jerk deserved it, because he was such a jerk when he was with Jabba. And then they cut to that other one who's just kind of sitting there, almost like that one knows he's going to die. And then it's like, no, that guy's, they have consciousness.
Yeah,
like
they can laugh at jokes.
Yeah.
They can laugh at jokes. You don't want to.
I liked that he was kind of that other Salacious Crumb was all sad. So,
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But again, one man's fan service is another man's fandering.
Yeah. It's a weird, it occupies this weird space where I'm happy to see it. And again, like, you don't have to know what it is.
Right.
In order for it to, it's still a kind of an entertaining little thing. If you don't, if you don't remember that Salacious Crumb exists, it's a little like, oh, here's a weird marketplace.
And I feel like if they're clever about the fan service, like by putting something in a different context, or like, I think that's better than just kind of like literally someone holding up a thing and holding it to the camera, being like, look,
right. Mandalorian taking Salacious Crumb out of a bag and being like, what the heck is this? Like, oh! Then he throws him. That didn't sound much like Salacious Crumb. It sounded more like the guy from Raceway Park, but you know what I mean.
Wipe out. We also see our first as far as I know, first non-Tatooine Jawas. I don't think we've ever seen Jawas off of Tatooine before. So kudos to them.
Wait, I feel like we did somewhere, didn't we? In the prequels? Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, certainly they were on Tatooine all the time in the prequels.
Right, but I feel like outside of that, I feel like in a different context with some aliens we saw some. Maybe not. But good for Jawas. Yeah, they're getting out in the world.
Yeah. No way.
Unless that was Tatooine, we don't know.
Well, it could be. Oh, don't even joke. Is it going to end like Planet of the Apes with some big reveal? Like you're going to see Jabba's palace. You're going to see the wreckage of the sail barge. It's like, you maniacs.
Well, I kept worrying, and again, it's interesting that this. I keep worrying about how much they're going to tie it in. That it's going to be like when he said, like, "Oh, we got a big bounty here." It's off the books, kind of. And I was like, it's going to be for Jabba the Hutt. And then,
when they said they are 50, I was like, okay. Right. My mind was replaying who could possibly be 50 years old at this point from the original movies.
But then, like, as soon as you like it, to kind of dispel that, it's funny that this is, it's like, oh no, is it Jabba? And then you walk outside, and immediately there's Salacious Crumb on a spit. And I forgot, it's 5 years after Jedi, so Jabba's been exploded by now. But
has he?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he was choked. Sorry,
that's true.
And then exploded.
Mm-hmm. And then they poisoned him after that.
Right.
I like the shot of the guy unloading all the frozen people out of that back hatch.
Like Elsa,
it reminded me of when you drop off a car at the rental place.
Yeah.
Guys like, oh, you need a receipt for these? Oh no, that's okay. That kind of stuff.
We should have seen the Mandalorian walking around with a big paper receipt.
Yeah.
For a while.
Did you pay for your carbon ahead of time, or did you have to bring it back with a full tank? That sort of thing.
Right. And then he goes and he takes this. I think I got engulfed in the storyline for it because I jump to the next location pretty quickly.
The last thing I have for that is where the last thing I have when he's talking with Carl Weathers, he says he mentions Underworld, and I was like, oh, Rick McCallum. So that's the last thing I have about the.
No, I mean I jumped straight. I bypassed the whole next location entirely because I got wrapped up in it.
So you have nothing about the Werner Herzog scene?
No, because I was just like I was wrapped.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm not saying I won't talk about it. I'm just saying my next note is like 2 planets from now. So it's a good sign that I was entertained. I was in it.
Okay, so there's a couple of things about the Werner Herzog scene.
Sure.
I'll just go through my notes then.
Again,
you're talking about quoting...
double down. Go all out. What do you got?
Quoting sounds from Star Wars. You have the return of you have Jabba's door show up.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Gervais door.
Same thing? Fan service? Like, because it's the exact same sound? Is that too...
I can't testify that it's the exact same sound. It sounds very close to it, but I don't know the Return of the Jedi sounds enough. It is the exact same sound. You can say that. You
said like Washu Habinki or something like that.
Okay.
Which is totally. But again, maybe that means how can I help you or something like that.
Yeah. When you become as familiar with the original Star Wars as you and I have become, and other people, obviously, I'm not just saying we're unique in this, but you definitely notice, like, they use Chewbacca's roars over and over again. You use R2 sounds over again.
Itchy sounds from the holiday special. Speaking of the holiday special, Itchy sounds are just nonstop. Like, everybody sounds like Itchy. Everybody sounds like Itchy.
Yeah. You just have to convince yourself that there are subtle, maybe even pitch sounds that we can't hear, that humans can't hear, that are changing when Chewbacca's saying different things, but to a human it sounds the same, but to other.
Oh, you mean within their own thing? I'm sorry, I thought you were saying they reused sounds for other things, other like I was saying Itchy sounds like the Gamorrean Guard sound like Itchy. There's a couple of other things in the prequels.
I didn't realize that. Oh no, okay. No, I just meant
you're saying Chewbacca says the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
R2D2. So, yeah. Although I still think that there's some sense of a pattern to some of R2 what he says. I like it when he says his name. That's the one thing that I can understand.
Do you think they don't use R2 as much anymore because they just can't come up with new sounds for him?
New dialogue.
And that's why they're like, well, first now we did BB-8, and now they can't come up with anything for him, so they have to come up with another robot to keep.
Right. No, I think it's
toys.
Yeah, it's fine.
So Werner Herzog shows up.
Yeah, and it is. It's hard to kind of hard to figure out how I feel about that. It does kind of take me out of it a little bit, but then it also, again, I was wrapped. I was in. Once seeing it once, it's like a little bit like, huh. But then once the scene goes, it's like, no, he's just doing it. It's hard a little bit to not imagine Paul F. Tompkins. Speaking of people who do other podcasts with our friends. So it's I don't know. But, if it didn't work, if you didn't back it up with stuff, it would be weird. But the fact that it works, the scene works. Yeah, and I love his little Imperial medallion. This is, of course, we're talking about the client.
Is that how he's identified?
That's the character's name is the client. The client.
I saw some interview or something with Werner Herzog, and I think he said he'd never seen a Star Wars film before.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I love they're like, so are you going to watch it? And he was like, no, I only pay for Criterion. That's the only streaming service that I have. I'd have to pay for Disney Plus to watch it, and I don't.
Because of course, Disney wouldn't hook him up with any Blu-rays or anything, or at least a access code to free streaming.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody from PR sent them a whole thing out there, but at the time of the interview, he did not have access.
Right. And so, Werner Herzog is talking about he wants to hire him for this bounty. He seems to have some familiarity with the Mandalorians. His little sidekick comes in, little Waylon Smithers type guy.
Right. And
who's wearing glasses. And it made me wonder, have we ever seen glasses in Star Wars?
Oh, we have to have, right?
I don't know. You've seen goggles.
What about the ones that Kirk sold in the future?
That's the thing. It hasn't happened yet in the future. This would be the first canonical appearance.
Even though they traveled back in time? The person we're talking about, the Smithers in question, is Pershing, Dr. Pershing.
Oh, he's a doctor. Oh, he's a doctor now.
Let's see. Oh, it doesn't say that he wears glasses here, so I can't look up glasses. And let me look up glasses.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
glasses. Glasses were optical instruments consisting of a frame holding a pair of lenses, improving eyesight. Let's see. Well, George Lucas did not want eyeglasses to be present in his films. Such devices have nonetheless appeared in other canon sources, such as Double Agent Droid, the 19th episode of the animated television series Star Wars Rebels. There are 4 characters listed as owners of glasses, and not including Dr. Pershing.
Dr. Pershing.
So there's a new. He's got to be added to this list. There's Antrot, LT319, Nouveau Vindi, and Thanoth wears a monocle. Thanoth wears a monocle.
So no movie appearances.
No, apparently not. It's just
All right.
strictly in cartoon stuff.
So I guess technically, still they have not appeared in movies because this is not a
Oh,
movie.
there you go. It's true. Some
and
weird
that's
looking characters, I gotta say.
I wrote down just like Jyn Erso, but I don't remember why I wrote that down.
Huh.
Why did I write that down? There was some similarity between the bounty hunter and Jyn Erso. Oh, you know what it is? Because there's that flashback of
right.
of the Mandalorian, like his parents being killed and stuff, and them hiding him in a.
Right.
I guess that's a little bit later when he meets the lady man, the woman Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean that makes us question: is he really a Mandalorian? Because there's a thing that's dropped in there earlier. It's like, oh, I hear you guys never take off your helmets, and so like,
Right.
You don't, maybe he's not a Mandalorian. He's just a guy who was, kind of adopted by them, pretending to be one or something like that.
Yeah.
But what makes a Mandalorian? That's the question.
What's the measure of a Mandalorian? So the Boba Fett then goes out to find his prey, his quarry.
The Boba Fett heads out to find, Well, he first brings the little bit of we get the little Mandalorian. He brings the little bit of Imperial steel. This is where this whole thing, the fancy steel and the blacksmith and the whole kind of like guild hall that they're in, that he goes and visits, is a little too fantasy for me. It's like, this is like Game of Thrones, and I know that probably that is what all anybody else wants in the world. They want a Star Wars Game of Thrones, great, but it's a little too fantasy for me. This being, there being these kind of rituals and rules, a little R&R, rituals and rules. And I don't know.
Well, don't they make a point of saying the Mandalorians are very tradition is very important to them?
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it either. But
I like seeing other Mandalorians. I like that. This fancy steel I don't like so much, and the mythology of it. That's what I'm. We'll see. I'm sure they're going to go back and do more of that.
I kind of like that it wasn't really 100% clear what was going on in this, like where they got that, what the significance of the Imperial steel and all that stuff. But I guess clearly it is used to make Mandalorian armor, which he is, like in a video game, getting piece by piece until eventually at the last level he'll have the complete suit.
Right. Which is, again, I like that. I don't want to be. I don't want it to be, kind of like, here's everything, and like we're gonna, we need expositional dialogue to explain everything about this.
Oh yeah, no, I like that they didn't. That you were kind of like, huh, what's going on here? Can't quite follow this. Not like can't follow, but you have to pay attention, and it's not being spoon fed.
And so I don't know. I would, other than again, it's brief, but it not that it bothers me, but it's not wasn't my favorite overall. I got a little worried that it was stepping into fantasy too much, but it's fine. It worked.
And I do like that all you see all the Mandalorians walking around, and they literally are all wearing helmets, even like the children and stuff. So I like that they're sticking to that. And it's for once they're doing like a different culture that actually seems like it could be a different culture and not just, West 21st century Americans just in a different environment.
Right. Well, there's also, we see that that skull insignia too.
Right, the Boba Fett his logo.
Yeah, it's a mythosaur, which we
like
hear
mithril
referenced later. The mythosaur was a species of animal
doesn't exist.
That
died about the same time as your father.
Like the Mandalorians used to write. Later, we'll see. Ugnulti says something about like, you're a Mandalorian. You used to ride the mythosaurs.
Oh, right. So that's what that thing is, that the beast he refers to is their logo.
Well, apparently that's a skull of it, and you'll like this.
Right.
That the mythosaur originates from the Marvel Star Wars comic books.
Huh.
Issue 69.
Yeah.
Of Star Wars, the Marvel Comics, Death in the City of Bone. It's written by David Michelini, drawn by Gene Day, inked by Tom Palmer, if that matters, and lettered by Joe Rosen, colored by Glynis Ween. But yeah, 1982. There was a storyline where they go kind of. I think they're hunting Dengar or something like that, or they're captured by the Empire because of Dengar or something like that.
The hunter has become the hunted.
Mm-hmm. But somewhere in here, there's mythosaurs. They don't call it that in the issue, but then in like a later source, they're like, "Oh, remember in the comics where they went to go thing this thing? That was a mythosaur." So that canonically, all we know is that mythosaur was mentioned as something that they rode once. But in legends, that's the mythosaur skull is the sigil.
So, but that's legends. That's not canon anymore,
right?
So we don't know
who
for sure
knows
if that's still true.
Yeah. Who knows what they'll turn that into?
Yeah.
But given the fact that we see that insignia and mythosaurs are mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty likely that that's going to be what it is.
Cool.
But yeah,
so he leaves Nick Nolte, not Nick Nolte, he leaves Werner Herzog and goes to meet Nick Nolte.
Well, he leaves on a weird iris wipe out of his face. You notice that?
I did not
He's
notice
just
that.
kind of like sitting there like focusing on something, and all of a sudden it's like, it looks like his spaceship comes out of his face. Because there's like an iris wipe. But then he goes to we finally have a name for a planet. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
We have
what is it?
Arvala 7.
Arvala 7.
Arvala 7 is where the Mandalorian ends up. He talks to Ugnulti. Ugnulti's name is Kuiil.
Kuiil.
Kuiil. And
cool. Sorry.
And Arvala 7 is let's see. Kuiil works there as a vapor farmer, which is when you click on the link, it takes you to the listing for moisture farmers. So I think that's what they mean. That they use moisture evaporators to be a moisture farmer, but so it's a vapor. Is it moisture or is it vapor?
Lame.
Anyway, he's there. He's a farmer laying there, and he wants the other guys gone.
Is water so scarce in the Star Wars universe that multiple planets have to have water farmers?
Wow.
Why don't they just go to Camino and scoop it up by the gallon?
And then ship it over there. It's cheaper just to set up a evaporator. To
have people's whole lives devoted to getting traces of water is a better solution than just shipping in some more water.
Well, they use it to farm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they use to farm real things, but they're getting the water out of it. It's like Dune. You know, it's like Dune. Has anybody ever mentioned that there are some similarities between Star Wars and Dune?
Huh.
I think so. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it is. They're just pulling water out. I don't know. Anyway,
one thing that bugs me is I don't think you see it here, but that that the Boba Fett needs to look through like macro binoculars and telescopes and stuff. That's not built into his helmet.
It is a little weird, especially if you remember the 12-inch Boba Fett toy, which had a viewfinder, built in, much like the $1 Million Man, $6 Million Man, not Ted DiBiase, Steve Austin, different Steve Austin. But it did remind me a little bit of the time in The Phantom Menace where the robot had to use binoculars, and I was like, come on.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But I do like having that little tiny scope thing. And I'm okay with it when it's like, attached to his gun. He was just looking through like a gun scope.
Yeah, but like later on he picks up a telescope to use.
Yeah. Well, I like that little telescope thing. Looks like a flute almost.
I don't like it.
As we've already established, I like flutes in Star Wars.
I don't like it. But not a big deal. And also, the number one rule of Star Wars should be when you're looking through binoculars, you should always expect something to jump up at you and surprise you.
Jump scare.
Yeah. He can't be that good of a bounty hunter if that creature could walk all the way up to him without him even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're very quieter than I give them credit.
The creature in question
blurg.
It's a blurg. It's a blurg. And that's exciting because, they were used in Clone Wars on Ryloth. Liberty on Ryloth was the name of the episode.
Ryloth keeps coming up.
Like a flower. But the historically first, even though it's no longer canon, it's legends, we first saw blurgs in the 1985 made-for-TV film Ewoks: The Battle for Endor.
That's right.
So this is Battle for Endor being canonized, in a sense. It already was, but from the cartoon. But yeah, it's exciting for fans of that. And we're gonna come back. We're gonna get to that. We're down the road. We eventually said we're gonna do a live show.
Yeah.
Studying, analyzing Battle for Endor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there's a whole sequence where he has to learn to ride a blurg. If I was making up fantasy nonsense, or sci-fi nonsense, it would sound a lot like that. Like if I was making like a fake science fiction thing for some nerd to be into in a different TV show.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, there's like, he finally learned how to ride the blurg. Totally.
This scene reminded me of, and I'm sure it did you too, of Anakin's struggles with the shack.
Yeah.
In Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I was trying to note.
I'm glad that they're doing callbacks to Attack of the Clones.
Shack callback?
A call shack.
The Night Stalker. I was kind of noting the technology between like how far have we come? Like how does this look compared to how Anakin looked riding the shack? The Mandalorian on a blurg versus Anakin on a shack. This sounds like a Joseph Scrimshaw, like a Force Center databank showdown thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
this one obviously looks better, but it's 15 years, almost 20 years later, so I would expect it to look better. Yeah,
I mean, it does, and it's more kind of kind of they do it well by not like they don't have him like standing on it and stuff. They just have him like, all right, here's a quick shot of him bumping around on it, and then we'll cut, and then it's well done on that front.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also, I noted just a little bit before the blurg comes out, how quiet it was. Again, the jump scare thing, but I love it that they're not afraid to be quiet, which sometimes that's a modern thing that, something's got to be happening with the music or the sound effects but somebody's going to be talking it all the time. We got to keep you strung along and,
yeah,
great for it to be just like, he's looking over the ridge at this thing and everything's quiet. He looks through his thing and it's quiet and it's nice.
Uh-huh.
But then the blurg comes out and ruins it.
Yeah. As I say, you definitely sound like the father of small children. You're like, it's nice and quiet.
Why can't they just be quiet? Yeah. So then we have the siege on Arvala 7, 2 against the worlds.
We're not going to talk about Nick Nolte?
Oh, if we can, yeah. He meets this guy who helps him, and it's Nick Nolte. And I still can't figure out. I don't see it listed in any I don't see amazing articles about how fantastic this is.
Maybe they want it to be a surprise.
This behind the scenes kind of.
It looks good though.
It does look good. From what I understood earlier, it was this whole look was created by a little person actor wearing a mask that has animatronics that are live linked to Nick Nolte's face. Yeah. And he's doing the acting that's being expressed, and it does look like it. His face looks like it's, his expressions are being accurately registered.
Yeah.
On that. But why haven't I seen kind of, our think piece, I guess maybe because the show just debuted like 3 hours ago or something like that. But look, where are the pieces about how this is done and how amazing it is? Because it seems ridiculous and amazing. I want behind the scenes shots of Nick Nolte, wearing this whole rig set up. I want to see the little person, actor.
I think we'll get there. I think they probably maybe wanted it to be a surprise, and then once it's out for a while, they'll do once the series runs its course and they're worried everyone's going to cancel their subscription, then they'll come out with like the making of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, they'll do behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
The kind of the technology of it seems great, and I want that. I want the what's her name? Taun We, the lady who played Taun We, wearing just the suit with the hard hat with the picture of Taun We pasted on it.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I want. The equivalent of this, but for Nolte.
I definitely want to see that. Would you have recognized that as Nick Nolte, you think, if you did not know ahead of time?
If I watched this, then you said hey, that was Nick Nolte, I'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would have caught it without knowing that.
No, probably not. I don't know if I would have picked it out from that.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Without
so then
some
it's the
kind
showdown.
Notice. But yeah, and then I would have been like, oh, you know who he sounds like? Bruce Banner's father.
He sounds like Thomas Jefferson when he was in Paris.
Yeah. So then we get the showdown of sorts, the assault on Arvala 7. I had to look up the number.
Now, I went on record as being I was disappointed that I was excited that we were going to see an IG droid in the series. I was not excited to find out that it was going to speak English. But overall, I'm very happy. I thought the IG it's IG-11, right? Isn't that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
I thought it looked fantastic and was handled very well and did a great job. I'm still disappointed he speaks, but if he has to speak, I think it's still pretty.
I like the way that he speaks. Job. Like they didn't spend a lot of upgrades. Didn't spend a lot of money on upgrades to his personality or anything like. It's just basically, if Spock was an assassin droid.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when they keep doing that gag about him activating self-destruct mechanism. He's really eager to use that self-destruct mechanism. Yeah. I also like that when he walks and moves around, it's very robotic. It's not like human, everything swivels around. So it's they really take advantage of the fact that he's a robot and can do different things. I think that was it was well done.
Yeah.
And I like that when he moves, it has that kind of he's doing the robot, like a mime thing where he moves and it has a little bit of a wiggle to it. Once he locks into a position, it looks very animatronic. So good work, guys.
Yeah, and it's a good. He's there to claim the bounty also. So he's also been put on the case, and they decide to work together, and they take on this army of Niktos, Nikto's army. And
I like that when they say they're going to split the reward,
Mhm.
but then IG11 makes some comment about how he gets the reputation points for it
Right.
or something.
Right.
So like there's some kind of like database where actual cool points are stored.
Like,
that's pretty
he gets
funny.
the Yelp review for the bounty.
Yeah, or the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah, so
great scene to shoot at.
Yeah, it's very much a Western and very good. It's tense in moments, and it's good. Good action scene without going on too long.
Mm-hmm.
And so they defeat the army of Niktos. They bust through the door. And then we had the client earlier. Remember, now we have the asset. They discover the 50-year-old who they were sent there to obtain.
I will say before, my favorite shot of the whole episode is where they kick the door down and then you see the silhouette of IG-11 and Boba That
is nice.
That was
not
my
Boba
favorite
Fett.
shot. He is a Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So yes, they find their quarry.
Yes. They find, and then so here's an interesting wrinkle. So let's back it up. When they gave the titular Mandalorian, the TM, when they gave him the bounty, originally, Dr. Pershing said, or they said they wanted him alive, and then Werner Herzog, the client, said like, well,
bounty hunting could be a messy business.
Yeah, debt is also acceptable, but we won't pay as much.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Pershing seems very startled by that. Whereas when IG-11 shows up, he, when they get there, his bounty is to kill, to destroy it,
yeah,
to terminate it. So now we have to speculate here. Were they sent by the same person? Are they on the same bounty? Or are they sent by different factions for to get the same thing for the same purpose? And also, the asset in question is a baby Yoda. So
a baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda. Which, again, I love. I hope that this doesn't undo this. Now, of course, that I say it, in the next episode, it'll be all about like the history of Yoda's species. But I love that even on Wikipedia, Yoda's species is just referred to as Yoda's species. There's no name for it. There's no information about it. This is only the third member of this species that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't any Yoda species senators, were there, right?
No.
There was just Yoda and Yaddle and this.
Mm-hmm.
And the asset. Let's see, the asset, yeah, on Wikipedia, that's all there is. Let's see, legends. Are there any legendary Yoda species? Oh, sure. Oh, well, Minch, Oteg, Vandar Tokare, Yaddle Yoda, and unidentified Jedi. For reasons unknown, George Lucas maintained that a strict policy of keeping the history, name, origin, and whereabouts of the species unknown. When asked what species Yoda is, Lucas has only joked he's a frog. In the documentary From Puppets to Pixels, he joked that Yoda is the illegitimate child of Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. Prior to the creation of Yaddle, Lucasfilm actively discouraged licensees from exploring Yoda species.
I hope when Yoda was born that he got some of the recessive traits that Kermit's father, the frog bear hybrid, had.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh totally.
Anyway, moving on. I have to call back to my most horrifying scene of Great Muppet Caper,
which is on Disney Plus.
It is
worth watch under G, not with the other Muppet movies. At least on the iPhone app, which is where I was doing most of my browsing.
A lot of mysteries. Like, why do they want this baby Yoda? You have to assume. I'm assuming it's something about the Force. Like they want to stop Yoda. Right. They want to stop this Yoda from growing up or whatever. Maybe this is like Yoda Hitler from someone came from the future.
Oh, there better not be time travel. No. Also, like, imagine being a baby for 50 years.
Well, that to me seemed a little. I get what they're going for, but it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, Yoda's an alien. Who knows? But it seems like, how old is Yoda when we meet him? 800? 900?
Something like that. 800?
So if Yoda is this old and he's still an infant, like, that seems like it would be. He must go through adolescence a lot quicker than we do, because it seems like it would take him over 1,000 years to get to adulthood at that point.
I love that. Sorry, that, like, they took his, like, Yoda's line. When 900 years old you reach, look so
Look
good.
as good you will not.
Yeah. And they just took that as like, okay, well, he said it, so that's exactly how old he is. Like, and then so, like, on Yoda's page it said born 896 before the Battle of Yavin. It's like he's exactly 900 years old at that point. It's like, come on.
Maybe that's when they maybe all of Yoda's species die when they reach 900. That's like their expiration date.
Oh, although no, it says he died 4 after the Battle of Yavin, so that would be he would be 904. Wait a minute.
No, if he was born 896 BBY, then he would have been 900 when he died.
Right. No, because 896 before, and then 900 at the Battle of Yavin, and then 4 years after that is when he died. So he was 904?
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right. It's not added. Anyway, who cares?
I don't know. Let's not do math.
But I just think that that Yoda being an infant means that he's been an infant for, like, well, let's see. If he's let's assume he's 900. So how many years? What? No, you just said you didn't want to do math. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out, what is he in human years at this point? If he's 50 years old, and let's assume he'd be 5 years old.
About 5, yeah, right. So
yeah,
he shouldn't be a little, like, baby.
He should be at least I assume they didn't want him to talk, probably.
Right. Maybe he will. Maybe he does look a little bit like Mogwai, so maybe he'll just, say occasional cute words.
Oh, he'll say them all out of order and stuff.
Yeah. Although, yeah, so according to this, the asset was born 41 BBY, approximately. So, again...
Could be Yoda's child.
Yoda and Yaddle.
Or Yaddle's child.
Oh,
Yoda and Yaddle's child. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. If this movie... I'm surprised at how calm I am about a baby Yoda showing up, because I feel like if I had been told there was a baby Yoda in this, I would have been dreading it.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, because they do it and it's kind of well done... Mm-hmm. The reveal and everything, it's well executed, at least so far. I'm okay with it.
I agree.
Although, if it is the child of Yoda and Yaddle, I do want him to be called Yo-Yo. And he'd be like a cute, like, wisecracking baby Yoda.
Not Yodel?
Yo-Yo. Yodel, of course.
Yoda would be his full name,
Yodel.
But they would call him Yo-Yo as an affectionate nickname. We should start calling Yoda Yo-Yo.
Yo-Yo. His friends call him that, maybe.
And when he was younger, it was like his college nickname. They used to call him that at the...
Right, in Yoda's yearbook.
In his Jedi fraternity, he was
boy.
Yo-Yo.
Jedi Fraternity is a show that I would like to watch, or not. I don't know.
So yeah, my first thought was that this is going to turn into, like, Lone Wolf and Cub. Have you ever read that?
Yeah. A little bit,
which is which is about that samurai carrying around a baby. Mm-hmm. That's what I felt like this was going to turn into. Like, people are trying to kill this baby, and the Mandalorian is charged with not having him get killed.
Oh, it might still. We don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. But continuing the samurai western kind of connection,
Right.
What do you think about the CGI of puppet of Baby Yoda?
Do we know that it's a CGI or is it a puppet?
Well, I don't know. What do you what do you think either way?
It looks fine. Again, it looks kind of like Gizmo.
Yeah.
So I don't know what.
I was disappointed IG-11 got killed.
As far as we know.
Well, for all we know, they can back up.
Yeah. it could, reboot or something at some
Yeah,
point.
it goes back up to the cloud.
Um,
So what's your overall? What do you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
well, I don't know. It's tough because it's like 1 to 10 compared to itself. It's hard to, compared to other episodes, like, or
Compared to your expectations?
yeah, I think my expectations are pretty high and it's pretty fulfilled. I got pretty much exactly what I wanted out of this.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm somewhere around there. I was gonna if I was gonna grade it, I'd probably give it like a B plus, but we'll round that up into a 9.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go. I don't want to give it a 10 because I figure there has to be room to go. To grow.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
But
you're all
for
about just messing with the scale. So if why not give it a 10, and then if you want to go higher, we'll make it one higher.
You know what? That's a good idea. Let's do that.
All right. So for what baseline, this is 10.
We'll make 10 one louder and make that one be the highest.
Exactly.
All right.
But so I'm scrolling through now. There's a little thing of Easter eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a Mandalorian that looks an awful lot like Boba Fett in I think I watched it on a TV that wasn't optimal brightness. It was a little, fairly small TV that optimal brightness. But in the background, one of the Mandalorians, when he gets to the Mandalorian stronghold there, there's a character that looks very much, he's kind of greenish with the yellow yellow wrist things and red on the face.
Uh-huh. Huh. Keep an eye out for that.
And he even has a little, moves a little bit like him. Apparently it's at 1831. There you go.
Oh,
he's shadowy, blurry in the background, but it looks an awful lot like him. And the, obviously, Kawaki Monkey Lizard, Mauricio Sands, Posehn. The Big Bang Theory's Brian Posehn, is that a thing?
I'm sure
the same guy that we're talking about?
I'm sure he cameoed in it at one point.
Let's see. I guess there's an MMA fighter guy who's in the. He's one of the guys from the beginning. The guy who complains about spilling his drink. That's like if you follow that kind of thing, that's a guy. And there, I'm trying to see if I have any other things that we didn't cover that are noted in here. But no, it looks like everything else we covered, Nick Nolte, all that stuff.
And we can always update next week. We can always say, and other things we found out.
Exactly. As more of these listicles pop up, we'll cover them.
Yeah. So if you've enjoyed this and you have not listened to our other show, check out Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.
It's our podcast. I wasn't trying to wrap it up, but just in case there was any new listeners who haven't heard us before and are like, these guys are funny and informative and just the right blend of casual and serious.
I hope.
Then you should check out our show.
Yeah, that's at StarWarsMinute.com. This, if you just got here from something else, we're at the Mindalorian.com because that's the name of it. See, because we're Star Wars Minute. So Mandalorian, but we're not doing it minute by minute. We already covered that at the top of the show. You know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. By now, you've probably picked up on the...
By now, you probably hung up.
Hung up.
Yeah. That's what they call it, right? When you stop a podcast, you're hanging up.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So speaking of podcasts, this is... I called up the schedule, and we'll be back sooner than you think. The next episode drops on Friday.
Oh, boy.
So we'll be back Friday.
Oh, my gosh.
For a brand new episode of The Mindalorian.
Mindalorian.